Okay, with Chaya, the SHIDDUCH crisis. Did I say that right? The SHIDDUCH
SHIDDUCH.
crisis. And what is that? What is the definition of that?
A shidduch is a match. So it's the matching crisis.
You know, I did the translation on that word, and they told me something wrong. The internet told me it was a different. I thought I said it right, but I guess I didn't.
Oh yeah, it's a Hebrew word. It's hard, it's sometimes hard for people to understand how to say these words. They're not really translated well over English, but however you say it is fine.
So, okay, is that still does that still occur? An Orthodox arranged marriage, is that still happens today?
Yeah, that's our system.
And so, and is this something that is this like a little bit biographical? The film, like, what was the kind of this? How did what was the seed of the idea?
Um, it's not entirely biographical. Of course, it's inspired a lot by my own personal experiences going through the shidduch system myself. It was more what I took contention with about it, and like the problems that I had and what I felt like a lot of girls around me went through. So
Yeah, I bet. I guess would go without saying from my perspective, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
So did you go? Did you end up going through it or?
yeah. I went through it in it, whatever. It's there's a lot of good things about it and there's a lot of bad things about it, like most things in life. But it's not helpful for, I think, people who are just at the cusp of trying to figure out who they are and what their identity is and what they want to do with their life. And when they're thrown into this, the system, which is like where it's considered the next step for many of us, it can get very confusing as to figure out like, oh, is this really what I want?
So you made a whole movie about this. It's 24 minutes long. It's fantastic. I loved every minute of it. But at the same time, was your family okay with you making this film?
Yeah,
So
they
everybody's
were.
cool.
Yeah, we're all cool. We're all good. We're on good terms. I didn't actually tell them until until I had more of a finished product, but they were very proud. And it's cool because another big part of why I wanted to make movies or like put my experiences on screen is because I don't think we have very good representation, like
No.
in terms of Orthodox Judaism. So they liked seeing something that was more relatable on screen.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's what that I had that in my notes right here. Like that's what I was gonna talk to you about. Like that's the good thing about it because it's like it's nuanced, right? Like it's not all bad, it's not all good. Like you said at the beginning, there's something that this is the culture and there's something profound about it, from my perspective at least.
Yeah, thank you. That was the goal.
Okay, so then, but then at the same time, what is the good parts about arranged marriage? Like, what are the positive attributes of an arranged marriage?
Right. So it's, although you can call it an arranged marriage, it's not arranged in the way that you don't have any personal agency or choice. So you're involved to whatever extent, I guess, you want to be or can be, depending on like how it works. Usually your parents are the one that does it for you. They get resumes, they get people interested, they, you're of age, your name kind of goes around in the community. And so they say, hey, look, this guy is interested. And depending on like what the relationship is with the child, they'll be like, would you want to go on a date with him? Or I set up a date for you. And you get to go on the date and figure it out. Like, okay, is this something I want for myself? Do I like him? Do I want to continue? So it's not arranged in the way that you are told this is what is happening and you have to marry him, although it gets that extreme in certain, like, or if you get really ultra Orthodox or in certain super ultra religious families. But um, so I just wanted to clarify that in terms of like what the arranged marriage thing is.
Hmm.
But to your question of it being what are the positive aspects of it? It's a filtration system. So ideally the person knows what they want and you get matched with people that want the same thing. And so you know the background of this person because that kind of research has been done. So you know that they want to get married. Like there's a lot of the same values there, and supposedly like putting you together to just like send you off into like this ideal relationship. And many times it works and many times it doesn't.
So what happens if it doesn't? They can still, you can get a divorce?
If you get married,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if it doesn't work out, you can still get a conventional lie-biting divorce, I guess.
yes.
Okay. So, and then I guess the bad parts about it is that you can't, you're like, you lose your choice, I guess. Like say you meet some random guy at a Starbucks and you guys look at each other in the eyes and you got those feelings.
Mm.
And then you basically like, that's not how the system works, I guess, right?
No, no, no. That's yeah, there's so many consequences. The first being what I expressed in this film of like most of us not even knowing who the hell we are and what we want because we've
Yeah.
never been told like that's something we should explore. Or the idea of this idea of logic and values and looking at a relationship as a, like this like as a systematic long-term goal as opposed to something that your heart should tell you wanting to be with this person,
Yeah.
liking to spend my time with this person. So there's always those problems. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, yeah. So yeah. So I guess, but at the same time, it's, it helps. Yeah. I see, you can see both sides. Okay. So this film in particular, this was done it's at school. This is a student project.
It was done in a fellowship in the Real Works Narrative Fellowship. So it's not in school.
Okay. So, but it's a real works. Like, so what is a real works?
They're a film production kind of organization and they provide film opportunities for young adults and teenagers and their fellowship program. I applied for it and I made this film with them. So it's a year-long program. You write the script and then we shot it in the summer.
And then they help you edit it and everything like that.
Yeah.
Was everybody on the crew like from real works?
Everyone who's on the crew was people like me. So people who applied for the fellowship. So
Okay.
student, beginner filmmakers. So the team is like made up of, yeah, beginner or teenage filmmakers.
And you worked on other people's films as well?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because it's a nicely shot film. I'm so curious about casting because obviously your lead, especially, is obviously she's in every scene, so she's extremely important. So how did you find the cast?
We put it up on Backstage and Actors Access, mainly on Actors Access, and just perused all the submissions. We got a lot of submissions. Yeah, and Ariel is fantastic. I'm so blessed that I found her. She's a fantastic actress, as you can see. She carried the whole film on her shoulders. So
You was it important that they were Jewish and they kind of understood the culture?
it wasn't important they were Jewish. It ended up being that most of my main characters were Jewish. Catherine, the one who played Esther in the synagogue, was not Jewish. Um, but it ended up being that, and probably not for nothing, that like the overlap of the culture and understanding it and being Jewish at the same time kind of like coexisted at the same time. So yeah.
So Ariel kind of got this world, I guess, before she started playing in the world. Yeah.
She did not grow up conservative, Orthodox. She grew up conservative. So it was very different from how she grew up in her Judaism. But when I saw her, I thought she looks like someone who grew up in like my community, in my neighborhood. So
That's in Brooklyn.
mhm.
Yeah. And so you went to Brooklyn College as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so then basically then the rest of the cast you just kind of found, you just kind of did, because there's a lot of cast. You got the mom, you got the dates, you got a lot going on in this film.
Yeah, yeah. The rest of the cast I found on that website, and then the one who played Faya, the mom, Leah Forrester. I reached out to her through Instagram because she's pretty famous. She has hundreds of thousands of followers or something on Instagram. She's a famous comedian. So I asked her if she was interested in playing her, and she was. So
So that's an interesting thing you just brought up because there's an interesting tone in this film. So you kind of, it's a little bit funny, but it's also dramatic. Like, were you worried about when you're directing it, like finding the right tone of the film?
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what, like, what do you, because you want it to be a drama first, then a comedy? I know it's kind of a general question, but, or is that what you're looking for?
You know what? I was looking for it to be to have almost this. I actually wrote the scene with Esther, the beginning scene where she's running and comes to the synagogue and she's having this sort of like, I don't know, passive aggressive conversation with Esther about, you know, that she ran and she didn't want to like explain why she did. I had in mind like Fleabag. I don't know why that was my inspiration for that scene, just like this kind of sarcastic, witty tone. I think the film came out very different, and I'm very happy with how it did. Especially because I brought on Leia, who was a lot more like physical comedy and a lot more like in your face comedy. So uh I didn't I wanted it to be funny. It wasn't like my goal to make it that way. I wanted
Okay.
it to be like a very collaborative process where everybody's bringing their best to each character.
So you're, yeah, because you mentioned Fleabag. So Fleabag, you know, it's quirky, but it's very, it can get, it got very dark in some places, but then it got, you know, very funny at some places. I think that's why the film, that show stood out like when it was playing, because it kept on changing moods so quickly, right? And that's,
Yeah.
I think that's why people related to it so much, because I remember there's scenes where it's so dark, right? And it's so
Yeah.
sad, and then the next scene is like you're laughing, you end up laughing. It's, and then she would pulled it off, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Oftentimes in the same scene, in the same
yeah,
scene, if you're revealing something really dark, you're cracking up and crying, and it's fantastic. It's brilliant.
yeah. Okay, and then so the locations, because obviously you got a lot of car scenes. How did you do the car scenes? Was it, I'm just curious, like, because it looks real. Was it like the poor man's process, or where did you mount the car? I'm curious
My
about that.
God. We got really creative. We wrapped like a green screen around
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
and we had a very small team making the film, but we had I don't know, my producer and I don't know, whoever was free, just hold like lights up and keep switching it from warm to cool, from warm to cool, so it looked like it was passing lights.
yeah,
And then my editor, yeah, inserted the streets afterwards. So we were not moving. That was green screened.
gotcha. And then the, like, kind of the montages with the dates.
Yes.
That's, yeah. So then, was that something you did yourself? Like you kind of went in all these. Like it's interesting being courted. I guess it's almost like The Bachelor. In a way, it is, right? Because you're going on all these dates, and you have choice.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I would never have made that connection, but yeah,
Maybe they should do a version of it on The Bachelor, right? They're looking for a diversity on the show, right?
right. Maybe they should. There's that Jewish matchmaking show on
Oh,
Netflix.
oh, Netflix, is there? Oh, on Netflix. Okay, I haven't seen it. Should I watch it?
No.
Okay.
No,
No, but the thing is though, it's like someone's gonna get married in the end, right? So
yeah. In that show, you're saying?
no, on in the it, like on if they do the Jewish Bachelor, like they do the like this kind of like, because you are gonna one the girl's gonna get married, right? So
Yeah. Well, if it goes that direction, yeah.
yeah, so. But I like that. I like the point of view from the female, right? Because I know it's a matriarchal religion, but you think of the Orthodox dude. This is my stereotype. It could be that you see it's male dominated. I guess there's like men are kind of ruling the roost, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. I've discussed this before. I think uh, patriarchal for sure, and men are definitely like considered have leadership roles in this religion, but it's very much like a family oriented and community oriented structure. And I also wanted to, I mean, most of the main all if basically all of my main characters are female. So we're very
Yeah.
much have a place and a say and a voice in our religion and in our homes. And so I don't know, I wanted to like just do something a little bit different, a little creative.
This might be an odd question, but are you allowed to wear what you want to wear?
So, I mean, if you're abiding by the Torah rules, then no. I
Okay.
mean, you have to wear clothes that cover your collarbone and your elbow shirts, and skirts that cover your knees. Most of the time, you also have to wear something that covers your legs, so some sort of tights or stockings or leggings. And there are other like more strict rules about like whether it can be super form-fitting, the clothes, and what colors, but that's obviously more religious. But those are the basic rules, yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the dates that she was wearing a short skirt, wasn't she?
Was she wearing a short skirt?
I
Like
guess it was
maybe.
like right to her knees, I guess. So
Right. So Shayna's character pushes the
the
envelope a little
envelope. Okay,
bit. Yeah.
gotcha.
She's not super
That's her way of pushing the envelope, I guess, right?
yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the locations in the film. Were they like these real locations in your community?
Yeah, they were shot in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, which is that's an Orthodox Jewish community is right there. And we also shot it at Brooklyn Bridge Park.
And like, but your parents didn't know that you were doing this until after?
They did. They did. I think I wasn't, when I said like I wasn't so forthcoming with what I wanted to do, I meant like when I was in college and I was studying, they were like, yeah, you're doing something with like media writing. Like they didn't really know that I was going to film entirely because I wasn't very like open about it because I just didn't know what their reaction was going to be.
Yeah.
So, but they at that point they definitely knew that I was shooting and it was like this big thing that I had to do. And but I think it crystallized for them that this isn't just some hobby or this isn't just some like I don't know, some throwaway thing that I wanted to do when they saw the film actually at the Real Works narrative at the Real Works Festival. And they were
Okay.
like, whoa, yeah.
And what did the real works? Did you have to pitch the like they approved it right away? Like were they okay with the
Yeah,
subject?
yeah, yeah.
And so I'm just curious, what do you want to do next? Does you want to keep telling these type of stories within your culture, or do you want to like spread it out? Like what do you want to do?
I want to do it all. I want to do
Okay.
everything. But definitely keep telling more stories and stuff like this.
Yeah, because there's definitely a point of view, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could argue that these are important stories now, right? So
Yeah, especially in what's going on with all the anti-Semitism going on around
yeah.
in the country, in the world. I think if anything, it's people to relate and to see the humanity behind every single color, religion, and race, and etc.
I couldn't agree more, 100%. And like I said, there's so many like misconceptions, there's so many stereotypes, and especially in the Orthodox kind of realm, I guess, right? So and it's good to see there's yeah, like it's like this is just there's real people, they're humanity, right? They're
Mhm.
they're drinking, they got flaws, they got emotions, they got sexuality, they have everything like that every human being goes through, right?
Absolutely. And it's also a large call for inwards as well. And in my community, as in like, stop feeling so maybe so different, so isolated, so disconnected from everything around us. It's like, as much as I want people outside looking in, I want us to look at us also as part of this big collective. So it's like this two-way lens.
It's funny because I didn't know if I want to talk to you about that, but you brought it up. I have it in my notes where like that's I was wondering what you thought about that because I think you because you're in your neighborhood, right? Everybody's in their little pockets. I lived in Brooklyn and it was like I know it's changed a lot, but I remember when I was in Brooklyn, everybody was in their little pockets, right? Every
Yeah.
culture was in their little areas. And it's good to spread out, right? It's good to like go into different neighborhoods and for one to talk to each other, right? And especially like you said, like people coming to your neighborhood, right? And not and feeling comfortable and okay. Like I think
Yeah.
that's what that conversation leads to less bias, less, racism, I guess. I know it's kind of a flaky, kind of idealistic thing to say, but I think it helps.
I don't think it's flaky at all. And I don't think it's idealistic. I think it's the only way.
Yeah.
Real
Are,
connection.
are people open to that where you live or
I think so. Absolutely.
yeah.
I don't think I was born in a vacuum. So,
Gotcha.
you,
And,
you know,
and it's like this, your character is basically is like, she's just trying to figure out who she is. And like you said, that, and she's so young, and it's like, it's almost it's an impossible thing to conquer, because like, she's not going to figure out who she is, but it's one of those things in life where it's like, you just have to go with it, I guess, in a sense.
absolutely. Yeah. And see, I'm not as pessimistic to think that like she's not going to figure out who she is. I think there's a lot weighing against you in the community to figure out who you are, especially if it's in direct opposition to a lot of the things that we preach. Help you figure out, like, we figured these things out for you. We know that's eventually what you're gonna, we know this is the best thing for you, so just stick to it. But if you're not there, if it hasn't been earned, if it hasn't been like sunken into your body, I guess you can say, then it's not you. And so I think Shaina understands that in her heart. She doesn't understand it in her body. And but she's brave enough and courageous enough to like take that first step, which was to just be like, this is amazing. And I might be the dumbest, it might be the dumbest thing ever. It might be that in a couple months I look back and Mutti's getting engaged and I'm like, shit, I should have married him. He was literally the best guy ever. But at this present moment, I'm going with my intuition, my gut,
Yeah.
my feeling. And that was a big, that's, you know, that was unheard of at that point in her life. So it was a big change for her.
Yeah, especially when like everybody, it seems like everybody in the film was older than her, right? So,
Hmm.
and they're trying to give her their subjective opinion on what life is, right? So
Yeah.
even the way you stage the film, it's like she's even the guys in the film, they're all like a foot taller than her. It's like, it's almost like, I know it might be conscious or not conscious, but even but I know the way you shot some of the film, especially some of the handheld stuff when it got intense, she's always looking up to somebody.
Interesting. That's an interesting analysis. You know, the funny thing is, there's a lot of jokes about Jewish guys being short, and it's not a
Yeah,
joke, it's because Jewish guys are short. And so when I was casting Mutti, I wanted him to be tops, like, I don't know, 5'7", 5'8". I wanted him to be short, but we ended up getting this incredibly attractive, beautifully tall actor, Jake Steinberg, and he's fantastic, and I'm so happy. But it was unrealistic that like there's a scene where Shaina like meets him for the first time and she like does one of these like measures her height against him to see like,
yeah,
oh, is he really 6 feet? Because they write that in their resume and they're not really 6 feet. And the joke would have been, no, he's actually just like the same height as Shaina, but it actually turned out that he was much taller. So that was a little background.
yeah. But it's good though, because it's like they can be more polished. The way the guys they
Yeah.
approach her, like they're all tucked in, everything's all proper, everything's all ironed out, right? So, but you got some long shots in the film. Was that just like to speed up because it's a 24-minute film? Was that like done like from a strategic way to kind of get the shots off, like the scenes off fast, or?
Yeah, that one long shot of their like first date. We wanted to get some coverage, obviously reverse shots, but we just loved the setting and that background with the bridge. And so it also was convenience and timing, but yeah,
And so basically, when you're the finished product, are you happy with like the version? Was it always going to be 24 minutes long?
it was always going to be long. It was always
Yeah.
going to be long. I was pilloried for. It was supposed to be tops 10 minutes, 10 pages. But I'm extremely happy with it. I'm so happy with it. And I'm so happy that so many people, you know, are relating to it and like it as well.
Yeah, I hope it's doing well on the festival circuit. I hope it's getting some festival plays for you.
Yeah, it absolutely has been.
And so we sent the audience to you. What did you think of what the audience had to say about your film?
Oh my gosh, I was so grateful and I was so appreciative of their comments and their insight. I love my favorite comments are always when, you know, people say that was so relatable, or I understand what she's going through, or she's so different from me, but like felt. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's the goal, right? Like to just get that connectivity. So I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
Yeah, no, like yeah, it's amazing that, like I said, it's like nobody knows this world, but then you made it relatable. That's like you, from a that standpoint, you accomplished your goal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So what are you doing now? You gonna work on another film?
Yeah, I'm working on creating a series actually. So a TV series, short, like a limited, something limited. That's what I'm working on, writing.
You're writing, and so
Based
you
off
got,
of
sorry, what's that?
based off of like this sort of world and these characters kind of thing.
Gotcha. And so yeah, well, this could even be a show, right? Like this
Yeah,
could be an 8 episode show. Like every episode she goes on a date, right? So
exactly. Yeah. It definitely is. It ends off on this very ambiguous tone. So
yeah, what does happen next?
stay tuned.
Oh yeah, you gonna make a sequel?
What?
Are you gonna make a sequel?
We'll see. I mean, it's definitely there.
And what about your mom? Did she like the film?
She loved it.
She
Yeah.
loved it?
My father wasn't so happy though. He's like, where's my character?
Yeah, but it's a matriarchal, it's a female film. He understands that, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. And then I also told them that these characters aren't them, but maybe just like abstractions of them. So they don't really have to worry about their representation. But they were very happy.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah,
Did
five
they,
sisters.
5 sisters?
Mm-hmm.
5.
Five
No,
and one
no
brother.
brothers?
Just one.
And where do you fall in line? Where do you land?
I'm the third.
Third? Okay. So then two of the two older sisters have gone through this already?
So my brother and my sister, yeah, they both are married and have the cutest kids, thank God. And then my sister right underneath me actually just got engaged. So yeah, a lot of us have gone through it. Yeah.
I like how you said they're the cutest kids and you said thank God.
Yeah. Thank the Lord. Because I could have been ugly.
Yeah. But would that be such a bad thing?
I mean,
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I understand what you're saying.
yeah. The thing is, I would probably never think that they were ugly, right? Even if they were, I'd still think that they're the cutest things ever.
Gotcha. You wouldn't know. All right. Well,
Yeah,
this is a great film. I'm so proud to show it. Like it's like I said, I love kind of like the diversity of it. You tell like, but the great thing about what we were talking about before is that this is just this is like an individual's journey. You don't get into the macro of this culture. You don't get into anything else except for her story, what she's into, what she's seeing. So everything's from her perspective. So we're learning as an audience from the information we're gathering from the film, right? So there's no like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, and I think that's the best way to learn through these individual stories. And I think you did a great, amazing job with it.
thank you.
Like it doesn't have to be a big speech about who we are. It just has to be like what she sees, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk again when you make your next film. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.